Hello and welcome back to Aetheral Space 7.24, The Calms Before the Storms. We are back.
Ooh, looks like we have another flashback chapter based on the beginning. I'm very curious. We've probably had way more since, but the two that stick out to me from years ago, I don't know if that's how you always open, are the one about Chael's backstory and the one about Ruth's backstory, like where it kept flashing to her and like her friend when they were kids or whatever. So, I don't remember if there were more, but those were bangers, so I'm going to hope this is a banger too. Once again, all Jakob Delced could see was the dark, and the only sound he could hear was the voice of Kachin Delced. This time, of course, the voice came over the communicator rather than being next to Jakob, but the situation gave him chills all the same. The cramped shipping container he'd taken refuge in didn't much help with that either. "Your position secure?" Cod asked, voice distorted by distance and poor connection. "It is," Jakob replied, finger to his ear. "Got myself hiding on a pirate wreck orbiting Red Bear, one of those that the PRO fleet took care of back in the day. The shipping containers are lined with Lestrum, so any life scan should miss me." "Why are we hiding, Jakob? We're strong! We should just go and fight them!" Yapik ignored the mental interruption for the time being. They'd have a strategy meeting after this. "Good thinking," Kot replied to Jakob's explanation, the audio clearing... Sorry, that was Jakob's voice. "Good thinking," Kot replied to Jakob's explanation, the audio clearing up for a few seconds. "How about you, Commander?" Jakob asked, the slightest smirk on his lips. Kot had been chosen to lead this mission based on his people skills, but it was still strange to consider him as being in charge. "How are things going on your end?" Kot spat out a humorless laugh. "With you reporting in, I've confirmed everyone's managed to find somewhere to hide, so now I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to explain this mess. First mission into Supremacy Space, and I'm the one to mess it up. The directors aren't going to be happy." To hell with the directors," Bruno growled, words bouncing off the walls of Jakob's skull. "We didn't do all this for them. We need to stand by Kot. We'll keep them safe from them if they try anything. Right, Jakob?" "Yeah," Serena declared. "We can beat them up!" Wait, I fucked that up. "We can beat them up!" It's so weird to do this. Okay, so right now we are now aware that Bruno and Serena did indeed exist before Jakob, whatever happened to him. So, like, they weren't just like a splitting of his own personality. They were a trio in the past, which is already, like, very interesting to me. Jakob nodded almost imperceptibly as a reply. Loyalty to the Sed was all he'd been taught, but he'd learned loyalty to all his friends on his own long before that. If they tried giving him any orders he didn't like, they'd be getting a very nasty surprise. "Hey, Kot?" Jakob asked suddenly, spurred on by the chorus in his head. "Yeah? I've been thinking. If you want, I mean, and this is just me floating an idea around, so I don't think I'm committed to this or anything." Kot chuckled. "Out with it, man. You sound like you're about to ask me out on a date. What if we didn't go back to the UAP?" A moment of silence. Not even Bruno or Serena had anything to say. When Kot finally replied, he too was much quieter. "What do you mean?" "We're on the border between the Supremacy and the UAP," Jakob quickly explained, reeling through the factors he'd been tossing over in his head for days now. "It'd be the easiest thing in the world to just double back and head back into the Supremacy." "What, and have the Supremacy and the UAP after us? Doesn't sound too enticing. Plus, we'd be betraying our own people, right?" Jakob frowned. "Our own people? First we were their street urchins, then we were their lab rats. Now we're their hunting dogs. At no point have we been their people, Kot. Fuck them. They won't be able to come into the Supremacy to look for us, and we'll be able to get away from these guys chasing us now eventually. Then we can do whatever we want." "Like what?" The emotion in Kot's voice was indecipherable. "I don't know, mercenary work or something," Jakob replied, shrugging despite the fact that Kot was an untold distance away. "The point is that it'll be up to us. No more missions, no more tests. We'll finally have our own lives." Do you really want to be doing this the rest of your life?" Jakob pressed on, leaning further into the receiver. "You're a lucky guy, but do you want to be following orders until the time comes when you're unlucky? When you take a bullet to the head and they find some replacement for you?" Another moment of silence. What?
He does the italics thing too a bit.
Oh, fuck. Should I have been noting
No,
that?
he doesn't do it as often, though, but he does it like when he gets worked up, if you notice.
Damn. Another moment of silence, lingering far longer. Then the slightest sigh. "I'll think about it, okay?" "Okay." That's all I ask. The communicator clicked off, and that was the last time Jakob Del Cid ever spoke to his best friend. The next human contact he had was with the squad of Supremacy elites that wrenches open the container, pulled him out into the fell light, and forced a black bag over his head. Now. Popcorn for a bit.
When Bruno Del Cid finally came to, he was staring at himself in a bathroom mirror. Water ran from the tap into the sink, and droplets of that water dripped from his features. Serena had just been washing her face then? He could see why. They didn't look so good. The features pale and sallow, bags under their eyes, and, as made itself evident when Bruno tried to move, a nasty cut on their stomach, still in the process of mending with stimulants. Bruno blinked blearily. What happened? It came to him in a flash, him bleeding in an apartment building, a bullet striking his body, the voice on his script. Cot. Panicked nausea welled up in his throat, and for a fleeting moment he almost disappeared under the ocean of his subconscious again. But no, he couldn't do that again. If he let himself asleep like that again, who knew when he'd come to? I said again way too many times there.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I was like 4. Like, well, 2 I can get away with, then 3, then 4.
Yeah. No. Wait, yeah, he had 3. Wait, that's a lot.
It was 4.
I didn't even notice. I was so into the story.
Serena? He asked, voice hoarse. Where are we? No answer. Serena was here with him, he could tell, but a sense of exhaustion came from her. She was in no state to communicate with him. I suppose it was only fair that she got her rest now. Bruno half walked, half stumbled out the bathroom, stepping into the clean and sterile halls of what was clearly some kind of hospital. Ruth, leaning against one of the walls next to the bathroom door, glanced up at him as he approached. Something up, Serena? She asked, and squinted as she got a better look at his expression. No. Bruno? Bruno vaguely nodded, looking around. What happened since he'd last been lucid? Was everyone safe? He was snapped back to attention as Ruth limply punched him in the arm, a lopsided grin on her face. Scare us like that, asshole. We weren't sure you were coming back. Bruno rubbed his forearm as he smiled humorlessly. It didn't hurt, but in this confusing situation he was glad to have something to occupy his hands. Sorry. Where are we? What's the situation? Some hospital, the Oliphant's own. Ruth scratched her nose. That A guy or whatever's being treated. Rico's mum is hiding out here too. We've got the place on lockdown. Bruno found ground doubtfully. Didn't they have the last place on lockdown too? Someone still ended up dying there. The smile on Ruth's face grew a little more uneasy. Well, yeah, but this time we're expecting it. And plus, we don't know what to look out for. If Carla Oliphant comes anywhere near this place, Skipper can just blast her to hell. Carla Oliphant? Oh yeah, she's behind the whole Hunter Game thing. This girl called Keiko Oliphant Hidaka sort of kidnapped Serena and then got betrayed by Carla. She wants the family dead for some reason. Bruno rubbed the bridge of his nose, trying to process all the information he was being given. This recap. Okay. Where's this Keiko girl then? I can get more information out of her. If she messed with Serena, I've got a bone to pick with her anyway. Oh, she's dead. Bruno blinked. Huh? Yeah, she got stabbed to death. Ruth winced by Carla. Dragon was there. He says it was really fucked up. Serena was there too, but I guess she didn't tell you about it. Shit. Bruno gulped, bracing himself for the next question. And what about Kat? Every time that name passed his lips, he felt like he was back in that interrogation room, staring at that black blur that eroded the mind. Ruth's expression hardened.
Oh.
He showed up.
Damn.
Well, his puppets did. Guess the coward wasn't willing to risk himself. We drove him off, but he's working for Carla. They're behind all of this together. Bruno closed his eyes. I see.
I think I know what happened to Jakob, but I will hold my tongue until after recording in case so I don't spoil anything.
To tell the truth, he would have been perfectly satisfied never seeing Kat again. Out of sight, out of mind. It was Serena's heart that burnt for revenge, and even if he felt some of that residual warmth, he didn't yearn for it strongly. He had no desire to bring himself closer to the source of his pain. It would be like intentionally driving his hand onto a protruding nail. And yet, it seemed the world had other ideas. It put Cochintel said in front of him, here, now. What else could he do but put things to rights? So what happens next? He asked. Popcorn.
Dragon was dozing in a chair when they entered the waiting room, a thin line of drool running from his mouth as he softly snored. From what Bruno understood, it had been a long night. No doubt they could all do with some rest.
This is the Dragon's peaceful rest. Leave a review on Aetheral Space. Have a good night's sleep.
Damn. They'd passed Fix on the way in, the wide man standing outside the door like some kind of guard, but they hadn't exchanged any words. Bruno honestly had no idea what he'd say to that man in the first place. Wasn't he locked up for murder last he'd seen him? What had happened with that? As Bruno and Ruth approached, one of Dragon's eyes opened, lazily returning to consciousness as he sat up in his chair. He ran his hands over his face, snoring replaced with a groan of displeasure. Couldn't have given me like 10 more minutes, he mumbled through his palms. Or like an hour? No rest for the wicked, Bruno said seriously. Where's Skipper? Watching the roof. Oh, Dragon yawned. I've already told them they're not going to attack until Abraham Oliphant shows up, but he wouldn't listen to me. Asshole. Ruth scowled. What? He's still recovering from his injuries! How come you didn't stop him? Like I said, Dragon replied with a pinch more annoyance, he wouldn't listen to me. There's only so much I'm willing to risk getting my hair ruffled, yeah? As Ruth ran off, presumably to scold Skipper to death, Bruno raised an eyebrow. You sound like him right now, he observed. Dragon snorted. Fuck off! You back with us, then? His words were harsh, but his tone was surprisingly warm. As he spoke, he glanced down at the script in his hand. Looks like it. Sorry for the absence. Is that Bruno's voice? It sounds too much like Fix's.
Maybe a little less gruff.
Sorry for the absence. This all kicks off when the Oliphant boss gets here, then? Dragon nodded, sneaking another look at his script. Yep, right before Carla and the other guy. You can say his name, Bruno said quietly. I won't freak out. Right. When Carla and Kot, well, part of him anyway, were talking, she mentioned that she wanted the bodies of the elephants lined up in front of Abraham, so I'm guessing she wants to destroy the family and rub his nose in it. Daddy issues or something. Bruno thought about the way Dragon talked to Skipper, and the way he talked to Fix. Yeah, I can imagine that, but why does that mean they won't try to attack again? Carla's lost the element of surprise. From what I observed, she herself didn't seem very strong, and like I said, Kot's a coward. The participants of the Hunter game might make a go for it, hence why we're still holed up here, but the organizers are going to wait for the grand finale. So they were still in the crosshairs, despite how optimistic Dragon tried to look. So, what do we have? Dragon frowned, eyes flicking between Bruno and his script. There's us, of course, plus some of the elephants. Roy Elephant Dawkins is pretty badly burnt, but he should recover in time. Recovery is fast in Aetheral Space World. Well, I guess they do have, like, Panacea and shit.
Yeah, Panacea, plus he's like a big, strong man.
You know what I'm wondering? I'm wondering if you were fucked up enough, if you could smear Panacea on you, because, like, when it's not healing anything, it makes random body parts, right?
Yeah.
Then record those body parts, so, like, if your arm gets cut off, you could plop in a new one.
Well, the way it works is sort of like, if you have a missing arm for Panacea, it's going to go a bunch of arms, like, pick the most accurate one, and that's going to, like, absorb the others.
Ugh. Dragon frowned, eyes flicking... Oh, wait. Rico's mom wants to rip Carla's head off, so there's that. Some of their employees. We have the guy outside, and that's it. Wait, who's Rico's mom again?
Valentina.
Oh, yeah.
Calls Fix the guy outside. Feels bad.
Damn. Not great. We've been in worse, Dragon shrugged, and as he did, he glanced down once again at the script in his hand. Bruno furrowed his brow. Are you doing something? You keep looking at your script. Are you hacking the system or something?
Kids these days always on their script.
Well, no, he just hashtag Dragon racism. Everyone, I thought Bruno knew he couldn't hack. Didn't he give a speech to the team about how everyone assumes he can hack?
They forgot.
I swear I remember that.
They forgot.
Oh my god. You'd better be joking, he said. If you really must know, I'm keeping up on the news, seeing if there's any clues as to what Carla's up to. It's pretty hard to multitask with you talking to me at the same time. So why don't you go catch up with everyone? Wait, what? Isn't that what multitasking is? Wouldn't he say it's pretty hard to focus with you talking to me at the same time?
Why is he talking strangely? What could this mean?
It's pretty hard to multitask. Bruno frowned. That was pretty cold, and pretty suddenly cold. Had he pushed some button he hadn't meant to? Had Serena done something while he was out? Okay, he said, scratching the back of his head. I'll talk to you later, then. Dragon vaguely nodded, still staring at his script as Bruno stepped out of the door. Dragon Hadrian had been telling the truth. He had been looking at the news on his script. However, that wasn't the reason he'd sent Bruno away. The reason he'd done that was because of the photo he could see on the script. The image had been part of a news article Dragon had been scrolling past. A shot of the hallway in a new youth center, walls lined with posters on both sides. He was certain that hallway had been empty originally. There had been no people in the photo. He looked down at it again. A young woman was standing at the end of the hallway, long brown hair falling over her face, the only sign of her features being the single eye that stared out, bloodshot from between the brunette curtains. One hand, clenched with all the intensity of a claw, reached out towards the camera. Mari from Amori? When Dragon had first noticed this, the figure had been little more than a vague blur, but now it was an actual person. Was this some kind of ability, then, using a script as a medium? Static flared across the screen again, and when it cleared, the figure was closer, crawling on all fours toward the camera lens.
I swear I had this in my plans before the ring shit started. But
I believe you.
This is actually based on the ring, coincidentally.
No, really?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell. All the distance she'd traveled during that blip, she'd reached the camera in maybe 2 more sequences. What would happen then? Would she actually climb out of the screen? Dragon had already tried to let go of the script, but his hand was stuck to it like a powerful magnet. He supposed he could smash it, but without letting go of his script and with the way he was holding it, that would require damaging his own hand too, which he'd rather avoid. Plus, there was no guarantee that would stop whatever this ability was. So he did the next thing that came to mind. Dragon Hadrian took a deep breath and calmly looked down at the approaching figure in his hand. I don't suppose someone like you has stuff like mercy or compassion, he said quietly. But I expect you understand what mutual gain is. Didn't someone else give that... Is that the speech Fix gave?
It's pretty similar, yes.
Is this intentional? Is Dragon more fixed than he cares to admit? Yeah. Hell yeah. Aw, I want more father-son stuff. I want them to have a good relationship. Fix it, Tan. Make them happy again.
I can fix it!
You can, you're the author. Why does he hate Fix so freaking much? What did Fix do to him? Maybe indeed. Alright, well, as usual, thank you guys for listening. I have been Darnell, and my throat is exhausted.
I've been Tanhony, and my throat's fine. It's lubricated with caffeine.
Ew. We'll see you guys next time.
You could slide down. Why don't you try?
Bye.
No.